Welcome back. You're watching Political Exchange. I'm Karima Brown, and my guest in South Africa today is Telecommunications Minister Dina Pule. Minister, there's been so many delays with the migration process. Some believe that when we there, then the technology would have changed and it would be obsolete.
Yes.
Take us through, firstly, what were the causes for the delay? And then secondly, what are the definite timelines?
Okay. I may not necessarily be able to explain what were the delays before I came in, but however, some of the delays that I know happened was that before we go into the migration, we needed to finalize the policies, which is what we came in and we finalized by December. And two, we needed to make sure that Centec has got it right in terms of signal distribution. Because for us to migrate, we then need the signal. We are going to migrate from analog to digital. Everybody in the country must have a digital signal. If we don't have a digital signal, we're not going to be able to migrate. And I can tell you now that we sit at 61%, if not 63% coverage. And I'm told that at least 5 provinces are now covered by the signal.
Which 5 provinces are there, and who's out of the loop at this stage?
All provinces have been covered, but most of the provinces that have been covered, or that have covered most of the areas, it's 5. And I can mention that we have the Free State, we have the Northern Cape, we have Johannesburg, of course, and we have Cape Town, because I mean those are cities, and we have KZN. What has happened before is that the signal was only concentrated on the metros. So, you know, Johannesburg Metro, whether it's Tshwane, you know, KZN, which is Tekwini, and Cape Town were covered. But when we came in, we then requested the Centec to go into the rural provinces, because, of course, here in the metros, in urban areas, people do have access to alternative, signal. You know, they have satellite, they can watch television, but in the rural areas, they rely on the free-to-air television, and therefore we needed to make sure that those rural provinces are covered. That is why you now have your Free State, you have now Limpopo, you have all of these provinces covered, but most of those that are covered wider are the 5, and I take that it's those that have the metros, as I said earlier on. Now, the other question that you are asking me is how far are we? I must say that we are going to be launching soon.
Soon?
Karima.
When is soon, Minister?
And I think probably the first week of October. Okay. We had wanted to make sure that by end of September we have launched, because the Free State and the Northern Cape said to us they are ready, and when we checked with Centec, we found that those are the areas that are covered. We want to take the rural areas and the most rural part of those provinces to go and launch there, and make it a pilot and see if it works. If it works in those rural areas, then it means everywhere it can work. Mm-hmm. So I think that if I were to say, probably in the first week of October, we will be in the Northern Cape, and we have chosen the Northern Cape because in the Northern Cape, that's where they are hosting the square kilometer array. And we think that the square kilometer array, the scientists are saying that the square kilometer array can cause a lot of interferences, and therefore we want to go and launch there and see if we can beat those interferences. If we do that in the Northern Cape, then we can then go and roll out in any other province. So the soft launch is going to be now in October, I think the first week of October, because we've been trying to see if we can get the leadership of the Northern Cape there, and we also have to make sure that the Minister of Science and Technology is with us, because that's where she hosts the square kilometer array. And then from there we can then take the full launch in December, and that will then start rolling out in all other provinces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, Minister, of course, South Africa's new growth path has located the South African economy firmly within its SADC context, but also within its African context, yes. And particularly the infrastructure rollout plan. Mm-hmm. Tell us about how your communications strategy fits into, you know, its African and SADC context, because we know that we're not doing enough intra-Africa trade. Mm-hmm. We need to build these regional hubs.
Exactly, Karima. We sit as part of the BRIC partners, And therefore, and we have said that we sit there not only for ourselves, but for Africa too. And therefore, it means we then have to work with SADC. Our strategy and our communication strategy fits very well with SADC, because we sit with those ministers in SADC. We have a forum called the Ministers of Communications Forum. And we were supposed to sit now in August, and that meeting was going to sit in Lesotho. The Secretariat is working on it because it has been postponed. I don't know what is the new date. So we communicate with all the ministers. And as I sit here now, I've been invited by the Minister of Mauritius because they have a meeting there. So we do engage with all the ministers to make sure that we have the same understanding. And when it comes to the DTT, we believe that because we have the industry that is going to be manufacturing, you know, these set-top boxes, should I be calling them, what do you call them? Yeah, we call them set-top boxes, but the others are calling them decoders. Mm-hmm. We have actually worked with the industry in the country to manufacture these boxes. And we believe that as we manufacture these boxes, it may not necessarily be for our country only. We're looking forward to also, you know, exporting them to the other African countries because they are our sister countries. So we work together with them very closely. But two, I think that, you know, just now in June, we had an ICT INDAB, and we had about 21 ministers from Africa. In that conference, we agreed, and we had a declaration, we agreed that we have to work together to make sure that by 2020, Africa has rolled out broadband at least at 80%. We have said by 2021 to roll out 100% broadband in the country. But in that forum, we then agreed that we're going to make sure that 80%. And that is why you're saying, you know, in the other countries in Kenya, you know, you have Rwanda, we have all these countries, you know, working
doing very well.
Doing very well. So we work closely with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Minister, now you've been in the news recently, yes, not for policy issues, but for allegations that there's been serious mismanagement. In fact, some of the companies, particularly Vodacom and MTN, has demanded explanations for what has happened and how the money was spent at this colloquium that you were talking about. Yeah. In fact, let me quote you what you know, Vodacom said. They said they wanted answers about who received the 4.3 million bill to the organizers simply for what the Sunday Times called events management, and another 6.1 million for event planning and delegate sourcing. And of course, at the center of this is your relationship or alleged relationship with someone in your private life. Mm-hmm. The Communications Ministry has been plagued by instability. We've had ministers come and go. Mm. How does these allegations impact on your ability to, A, provide confidence to the players, and how do you assure South Africans that you are not misusing the trust that they've placed in you?
Okay. I'm happy that you have asked that question, Karima. Let me start by saying that, look, it's the first time that I hear that you're mentioning these amounts. I don't even know how much they have paid. You know, the sponsors in support of the INDAB. But first, I must thank them for having supported us, because it was a very good conference. And I was happy that they participated as our partners, but that conference in itself was able to bring a lot of people from the world, from Africa and outside Africa. And our people in South Africa were able to interact, you know, and even do business with people that are coming from outside. We have had so many speakers who helped us, you know, to come and share with us their experiences in their own countries. But coming back to the allegation, unfortunately, Karima, is that, just as I said, I don't know how much Vodacom has paid, and Vodacom can tell you they did not pay to the account of the department. And any other person who paid did not pay to the account of the department. They have paid to the accounts of the event managers. And therefore, the money that was paid by the department, we did request the Auditor General to check if we have done anything wrong. And the Auditor General came out with the audit, which went very well. My department did everything to make sure that the money that was paid to run the conference was used for what it was supposed to be. You know, but well, I can't account for the monies that were paid not into government. As you would know, we're not allowed to take monies from you know, whether it is a sponsor or in. What we ask them is to support. And I must say, Karima, you know, the unfortunate part is that this whole thing goes personal instead of talking to the issues of the inner. However, you have raised the issue of the trust that the public has given me as a minister. And I think that is one thing that is important. That is why I had requested the Auditor General to make sure that their funds were not abused. But two, I think that if Vodacom and any other person who has paid money to run the conference think that something may have gone wrong and they want answers, I think they are right. Every company would want to know that. As much as I actually made sure that the Auditor General, makes sure that he audits everything that we have done. So
are you saying you welcome an investigation into where the monies went?
Yes, I don't have a problem with that. They should do that. It's quite important for them to understand where their money went to. I would do that. Even if it was my money coming from my pocket, I would want to know. If I gave you my money and I don't know where it went to, I would want to know, how did you use my money, Karima? So if they want to do that, please, they are at liberty to do so.
Minister, just a quick last word. You've said that you're going to be presenting your plans very soon. What's the way forward for the Communications Department?
Wow, I am excited about the work that we do in the department, Karima. I must tell you. First, I must say that let me start with the process of the DTT, because we have gone so far. As we speak now, that's the way forward. We already have requested the proposals from those that are manufacturers of the boxes. Then that means it takes us a step ahead. Two, we have said Centag make sure that at least by March or February 2013, the whole country is covered, or at least make it 88%, and they have promised us that. And I hope that maybe next time in February or so, we'll come back as a department and say we are already at 88%. But two, on the policy processes, we are now taking the processes back to cabinet, because we have taken them out for comments. They are back. We have assessed the comments. We now have to take it to cabinet and say to the leadership of the country, this is what we got from the people of South Africa, so that we can then take it to Parliament.
Lots still to talk about, of course, Minister. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. That is it for Political Exchange tonight. Join me again. I'm Karima Brown. Goodbye.